Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to I've made a dry rub here for my pork, and this is a fresh pork butt. Here I've got a teaspoon of sage. I've got 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. I've got a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a 1/4 a teaspoon of black pepper. And we're just going to stir this up good, and then we're going to rub this pork butt with this dry rub. Now this is a fresh pork butt that we had bought a hog and had it processed. And I can tell you, it is some wonderful pork. And some people have asked me how I get my fat to render down, and it's usually if we have a hog processed, and I've got garden sage here. This is from my garden, and it is so good. If you ever have a chance to grow your own sage, it's easy to grow, and there's just nothing like it. And sage and pork goes really well together. So we're just going to, and apple cider vinegar is going to be our main ingredient for our roast. So we're just going to rub him down. And anyways, getting back to the fat and the lard, I've got a video showing how we use the slow cooker to render our lard, and it does a really good job. And if we don't have a hog that's ready to be processed, a lot of times we'll ask people that are fixing to have one processed and ask for their fat, and a lot of people will give it to you because they either don't like the lard or just don't want to mess with it. So that's an easy way to get fat to render down for lard. But we're just going to rub this down. It's about a 3-pound pork butt. The apple cider vinegar, I know that sounds funny, but I'm telling you, it does something for the pork, and it does help tenderize it. Of course, in the slow cooker for 8 hours, it's going to come out just falling apart tender. So the next thing we're going to do, now that we got the rub on it and everything, going to heat a skillet, put a little bit of olive oil in there. We're going to put our pork roast in this skillet, and we're going to brown it on both sides before we put it in a slow cooker. And that's going to sear in the juices and give it that good brownness that you want on your meat, because you won't get that in a slow cooker. So I'm going to brown it on the fat side first, and then I'll turn it, and then I'll brown it on the other side. Okay, we're going to turn our roast over, and we're going to brown it on the other side. And you can see how that fat side really rendered and got good and golden brown. Our roast is good and brown on both sides, so I'm just going to take it out of the pan, put it over here in my slow cooker, and I'm not going to waste any of these good juices in this pan, so I'm going to kind of scrape down the good little brown pieces on the bottom, and we're just going to pour it over this roast. Now, we only have 2 more ingredients, 2 simple ingredients to put in here that makes this roast so good. And that's a half a cup of water. Just pour it around your roast. And a half a cup of apple cider vinegar. And just pour that around your roast. And that's all you're going to put in there at this point. And I'm doing this on Saturday night, the night before. And this is the apple cider vinegar that I use. I get this at Walmart. It's White House Organic apple cider vinegar. It's good stuff. But anyways, I'm going to put the lid on it. We're going to put it in a slow cooker vessel. Turn it on low for 8 hours. In the morning, it'll be Sunday morning, and it'll be done. And we'll make our glaze this morning. And this is the best glaze. We got a half a cup of balsamic vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And you want about 1 to 2, it just depends on how much you like, 1 to 2 teaspoons of minced up garlic. And then I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And we're just going to cook this, let it come to a boil, and let it reduce down just a little bit, not much. This is a wonderful glaze for pork. Mr. Brown and I don't really care for barbecue sauce. Now, don't get me wrong, we like it a little bit, but this is our favorite way to eat pork roast. This just brings pork over the top, and it's our favorite way to eat it. If you've never ate this glaze before, please try it because I think you're really going to love it. It's real subtle, but really good. Okay, to go with our pork, we're going to make us a little coleslaw. And I've got about half of a small head of cabbage shredded up and 1 carrot shredded up. Now, me and Mr. Brown like our coleslaw a certain way. We like it simple and we like it sweet. Not too many ingredients. I'm going to use about a half a cup of mayonnaise. And you can use salad dressing if you want, Miracle Whip. But I prefer mayonnaise. And I'm going to use about a half a cup of buttermilk. If you've never put buttermilk in your coleslaw dressing, you need to try it because it is really good. I put about a teaspoon of black pepper, and I'm going to put a couple teaspoons of sugar. And we're just going to stir this up. And then usually I always taste it to make sure that it's got enough pepper. It doesn't need any salt at all because the mayonnaise and between the mayonnaise and the buttermilk. Now the buttermilk is the reason that I don't put a little bit of vinegar in it because your buttermilk does have a little bit of tartness to it, but it is so good. I prefer it over using just regular milk, or some people even put a little bit of sour cream in it. I can eat this dressing on anything. I can eat it on a regular salad. So I always taste it. And the only thing it needs is maybe just a little bit more black pepper. And it's done. That easy and that simple. And we love a good coleslaw on the side with pork. Okay, our pork is done this morning. You can see how tender. I done took my fork and kind of shredded it up a little bit. It's really tender. It had a lot of juice in here, and I poured out over probably more than half of the juice because you don't really need all that juice. I left a little bit because we're going to be putting that balsamic vinegar glaze in here with our roast, and it's going to be wonderful. Okay, so the best part of this roast is the glaze. We're just going to pour it all over the roast. Just kind of let it marinate just a little bit. I'll put it back in the slow cooker and turn it back on warm. This is our Sunday lunch today. You can eat this by itself. You can put it on a bun with coleslaw. Eat it with rice, noodles, you name it. It's just wonderful, wonderful roast, pork roast. We love it. So let's put our coleslaw together and get our plate together. So guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this recipe. Give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. God bless everybody and have a wonderful week. We love y'all. So we've had our wonderful lunch, and now we're out here in the sunshine. I'm out in the high tunnel, and we are harvesting parsley to hang up and dry. And Mr. Brown's out here working on next winter's wood to heat with and to cook with. Doing a good job.